way we're going now, if we don't start speaking up on the floor of the United States House of Representatives and the Senate, 50 years won't be enough. The debt bill will accumulate before we even start paying it on. So the thing that has to be done, we have to control the spending, and somebody has to be willing to stand up on the floor of Congress when we have one person standing up there taking a stand and everybody else runs for the hills and just says, well, I voted the right way, but I never had the gumption to speak up and take a stand. And folks, it gets lonely sometimes when people stand up against things or for things that are right that maybe ought to take a long look for the country. So a balanced budget is probably the only way we're ever going to get. It helps in Arkansas. We're getting worse about that all the time in Arkansas, but we certainly need to do it in Congress.
Thank you, Senator Hendrick. Curtis Coleman.
Thank you, Scott. And my sympathies to Senator Baker, who is obviously ill tonight. I'm so sorry. And I was wondering, can I sit by somebody else? Sorry. Well, let me just say that I don't mind taking my time on that. I'm excited tonight about that question and getting to answer it because I already have my name on a bill in the U.S. Senate to requiring a constitutional amendment to balance the budget. A few weeks ago, Senator Jim DeMint from South Carolina contacted me and asked me if I wanted to be a co-sponsor and support a bill to be submitted to the U.S. Senate to do two things: a one-year moratorium on earmarks and also requiring a balanced budget in the Congress. And I said, doggone right, I want to be on that bill, and my name is on it, and I am thrilled about it, and I am aggressively supporting it.
All right. Senator Baker.
Absolutely support a balanced budget amendment, and hopefully we can pay down the debt before 50 years, but we have to stop the bleeding. And look, we're up here discussing within a Republican primary, but we are going to face central election in the fall, and that's where we have to make a difference because America's at the crossroads. And folks, if my family, modest income family, can balance the budget, and if the state of Arkansas, with all the strangeness within the budget process, can balance the budget, Washington, D.C. should be able to balance the budget. It is a bipartisan problem because in the 90s, the Republicans were in charge of Congress, and it is at that point, when we had a balanced budget, that they should push for a balanced budget amendment. So yes, I'm absolutely committed to a balanced budget amendment. If the Baker household can do it, if the state of Arkansas can do it, then Washington, D.C. should be able to do it.
Thank you, Senator Baker. Moving on now to question number 5 tonight. What issues or positions, if any, of President Obama's could you get behind and support? Ms. Huckabee has the honor.
I'm glad I get the easy ones. First of all, I was going to tell Curtis if he's really worried about that cold weather, so he'll probably find a good use for that tarp. As far as policies behind President Obama, I don't know if it's necessarily his, but I think I'll steal one from his wife. And I think one of the best things that's come out of the administration since they started is the fight on childhood obesity. I think it's one of the greatest epidemics that we've seen in our country in a long time, and I think that it has a far greater impact than just children being overweight. People keep talking, you keep hearing this word healthcare, healthcare. What we need to be talking about is health, and not just healthcare. We need an absolute health reform in this country, and I don't think that anybody is leading the charge better right now than First Lady Michelle Obama. And I think that we have to commend her for that and get behind her and support her as Republicans, but also as Americans who care about the future of this country in more ways than just making sure that they can get good insurance, but that it's there when they need it.
Thank you, Ms. Huckabee. Mr. Rainey.
Well, I'm not a big fan of this president, as you can imagine, but and Ms. Huckabee's right. I believe her father had probably more to do with that than Mrs. Obama did. But that is a worthy cause and a worthy program. I am very upset with the president here lately. I don't know if this is a particular issue or not, but his administration's what seems to be like throwing Israel under the bus is something that I'm very upset with. I can't think of a single thing that I support this man on. That is something that's very disturbing to me in the last few days. It's been in the news. His administration's stance towards Israel has been very concerning to me. I guess if there's one thing that he has said, that he's been quoted as saying that I could support, is he said he would be willing to be a long-term president just to get his agenda passed. I support him.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Well, I also agree with the nutrition focus of Michelle Obama. I guess the only other thing I could think of that I supported was the troop buildup in Afghanistan. And I'm sure all of you were impressed with the rapid decision-making process. You know, it's a good thing we didn't need them in a hurry. But beyond that, I'm hard-pressed to think of anything. I believe that, I guess I will say one outcome that I expect from his policies that I can support completely. I'm anticipating next November the largest turnover in Congress in our nation's history. And in 2012, we're going to see some change that I can believe in.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. I think it's time to turn the page, right? It's going to be testing my math skills tonight. All right. What do you think about forgiving student loan debt? Mr. Holt.
Can I have an illegal immigration?
You got a minute. Nothing to do with it. This is your call.
All right. You know, tough question, but I'm just really an old school kind of guy. The guy that helped influence me a lot was my grandfather. He was born in 1903. And he always told me, son, a man's good as his word. If he doesn't keep his word, he's no account, and nobody should have anything to do with him. And I just really believe it's a responsibility issue, and if you sign a debt, you agree that you're going to use that money to go to school, and I think a responsible thing to do would be to pay that money back.
Okay, well, two things. I'd like to go back to that last question and add two things. There were two things that President Obama has done that I do like, and I'll give him credit for that. One is he increased VA spending on Veterans Administration, something like 19%, which I think is important because our veterans have been forgotten for many years, and the Veterans Administration needs to be fully funded. Even at 19%, it's not. But that was a step in the right direction. The other thing that he did is he appointed a guy for Wounded Warrior Policy, Director of Policy at the White House. First time that's ever been done. That's very important for our wounded young men and women that are coming back from Afghanistan, and Iraq. We need someone there that will look out for them. As far as student loan debt, you're on your own. You got to pay it. That's just all the way. That's the way I see it. I paid my debt. I paid my school loans, and I think it's character building when you pay off your debt. And I think every American should do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. And Senator Hendrick.
Well, if you learn to pay off your debt, you're not qualified to serve in the United States Congress. I think that's a basic thing we need to evaluate and appreciate. And getting a good job. I caught chickens through college to get my engineering degree, and that's not quite as available as it used to be, but we still catch chickens, otherwise it's hard to eat. But you also need to look on the other side of this thing, in my opinion. We don't even measure anymore that it takes you, when you get a baccalaureate degree, whether it's 6 years or 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the less efficient we become in delivering these services, the more it's going to cost you when you do it. So carrying 12 hours and taking 6 years to do it, we ought to do better than that, because then we have to build 50% more facilities and all that stuff. So again, I think a lot of this stuff, if you don't control the spending and the manage your bill, what you don't measure, you can't manage, and we need to manage our business.
Thank you, Senator Hendrick. Moving on to question number 7. This will be for Curtis Coleman. If you were given the opportunity to leave town to be with your family for Christmas, or stay in town to